Hello, my name is Victoria Pavlova, editor of CRN UK, and we are here at XChange MSP today. Joining me is Juliette Hudson, CTO of Cybaverse, and we're talking about Cybaverse's journey from a boutique consultancy into a full-service cybersecurity provider. So talking of that journey, Juliette, Cybaverse started life obviously as a consultancy, and you're now pitching CyberOps as its own standalone solution. What's the gap in the market?
Okay. Yeah. So we started about 7 years ago as a consultancy, mainly focusing on the offensive, and obviously we've grown into delivering a full suite of cybersecurity services. So it's given us a lot of knowledge, a lot of access into the market to see what's really happening. So where we've seen a gap is that there's a lot of organizations out there, so maybe the SMEs, the smaller ones, where they don't really have that, cybersecurity skill set in-house, and especially with the MSPs, they have some skills, not so many. So what we can do with obviously our CyberOps platform and with our backed by the skills that we have in-house, we found that trying to help the MSPs move into the sort of MSSP market, by giving them sort of those stepping stones to be able to build and develop the cybersecurity services that they can then deliver themselves. That's kind of what we've seen. The platform can then sort of facilitate different models from we can deliver all the services for you, or we can start to help build and plug in the gaps. So maybe you can do a little bit 9 to 5 and then we can do the rest. Or if you want to do everything yourself, then you can use the platform. So that's kind of where we've seen a lot of the gaps.
Many MSPs, this is one of the leading kind of problems for MSPs, or challenges I should say, that we cover, say that they're investing in disparate tools, and tool sprawl is kind of a widely known issue in the industry. How is CyberOps helping cut through that noise?
So CyberOps, the aim of the platform is really simplicity. So we have obviously integrations that we can integrate with various different things, but then we can translate all those integrations, all that noise, or all the data into something that is very simple. We have a concept of immediate actions where it can sort of prioritize everything that's coming in and give the user or the MSP or the end client a very sort of prioritized list based on risks and what's been coming through to know what they need to focus on.
How is Cybaverse using AI within CyberOps, or just more broadly within the business?
Okay, so AI is the talk of the world right now, right? I think everybody kind of needs to use it in some degree, but where we're trying to use it is as to enhance the platform. There's a lot of tech jargon, there's a lot of confusing and very technical language that comes through from vulnerability management, from incidents, from any various different areas. So where we use AI in the platform is we can start to translate very, very technical jargon words into something that's just a lot more simple, something that anybody can pick up no matter where they are in their sort of career in cyber, or if they're not even in cyber at all, they can kind of pick up and then understand exactly what they need to do. Because ultimately there's things that come through that you need to action, and then trying to translate that into something that makes sense, is simple, and it enables anybody to kind of pick up and move forward and enhance their cybersecurity.
Compliance frameworks such as Cyber Essentials are a big discussion point in the industry right now, and a big part of the platform. How do you incorporate Cyber Essentials into your work?
So, actually, Cyber Essentials and Cyber Essentials Plus, it is available in the platform, but it's not necessarily the core of, the platform and what we're trying to do. It's available, but what we're trying to do is kind of provide that always there, always protecting that cyber defense. We can, there's obviously various ways, from obviously SOC, vulnerability management, threats, exposure. So we, pull all that together, and then because we have all these different areas, it starts to make compliance very easy. So the core is, protecting, right? Of course, in that comes compliance. So once we have all the different areas, it's kind of then very, very easy for our clients to actually get to that compliance level. So Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus. So as much as it's not necessarily the core of the platform, we have that as a feature, like a bolt-on that they can do, and then they can use the platform to make it a very easy transition to be able to achieve those compliance standards.
One of the biggest issues in the UK right now is the growing number of cyber attacks. They've been increasing over recent years, and especially with the rise of generative AI, it's making it ever easier for cyber criminals to get through.
Yeah.
To get through an organization's defenses. How is that affecting your clients, and how are you helping them tackle it?
I think, a lot of the time in the media, obviously, threat actors and the tactics and the groups, and they make it very scary. Especially if you're not a specialist in the subject, you can read all this stuff and it can be quite overwhelming. It can be quite scary, and it can make you feel a little bit out of your depth, maybe. But what we try and do, ultimately when it comes to attacks, threat actors, a lot of them, they have different tactics and techniques, but a lot of them sit into sort of very standardized buckets. So you've got phishing, you've got social engineering, you've got, exposed endpoints, and they will try and get their initial access via one of these, I say buckets. So what we try and do again is just kind of, we have the skill sets, we have the knowledge, we deal with a lot of incident response engagements, so we see these things live. So then we can use all that knowledge to help really push the messaging across to our clients about how to protect themselves well. Obviously AI comes into it because I'm sure you've seen social engineering, phishing, and they're using it now, right, to make it a little bit more believable. So then we can use that to help train either the MSPs or the end clients to start to recognize and protect against those various threats.
Right, fantastic. The scammers are getting more sophisticated. So are the MSSPs.
Yep.
For MSSPs looking into a potential SOC deployment, is it better to buy, build, partner? What's your opinion?
So with our offering, with our platform, with CyberOps, we give MSPs the ability to start to build. Now, there's not a one-size-fits-all. One MSP might have no interest in delivering cyber as their own service at all. One may want to move forward into the MSSP space and start to actually build their cybersecurity service delivery. So what we can do with our platform is that we can give them the options. So building a SOC is very expensive, and trying to make that initial jump to deliver it yourself is actually, it takes a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of knowledge. So we can start to bridge that gap. We can give them the stepping stones so that if they have a few analysts and they want to start delivering on cybersecurity and MDR and SOC, things like that, they can do maybe 9 to 5. They don't have to have the full 24/7 SOC. We can fill in the gaps. So we give MSPs a lot of flexibility, and we help build them and push them and develop them into sort of delivering those services themselves, and we can start plugging in the gaps, and then we can take that step back. They can still use CyberOps and the crazy amounts of automation and AI and everything that sits underneath, but then the delivery teams can kind of take that step back and allow the MSPs and the end clients to sort of deliver this themselves.
Right, so there's a degree of collaboration and also a degree of independence and choice for the MSP.
Yeah, so they have various options from, I don't want to touch cyber, you do all the things, and we're like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. Or they can start on that journey to actually become and have their own in-house SOC, and then they can start delivering the services themselves using the tools that we provide in CyberOps to still make it simple, still make it easy, and still enable it to do that.
So your client reviews mentioned not just identifying problems, but also working with the MSP, the service provider, to help resolve them. How do you balance those kinds of two roles?
So our platform, like I mentioned, is backed by a highly skilled team. So we obviously have, because of where we've come from and where we are now, we have obviously skill sets in a broad spectrum of cybersecurity services, from pen testing, SOC, IR, compliance. So we have a lot of really good knowledge. So when we have MSPs that come in, we can sort of help work with them to give them and train them and develop them in the different areas that they might need. So, when they come through and they take our platform and they say, yeah, cool, we want to deliver this, then they've always got, I say, Cybaverse behind them, backing them up and giving them and empowering them to do whatever they need, or just telling them about a certain thing or skilling them up in a certain area.
Fantastic. And to round everything off, looking forward, what do you see as the biggest trends affecting the cybersecurity space?
Focusing on MSPs, I think, third-party risks at the supply chain. I'm sure you've probably heard this. There's lots of that in the news anyway. A lot of MSPs, they do have lots of tools. They have lots of third-party suppliers. They have a broad sort of spectrum because they need to deliver different services. So The problem is the more things that you introduce, the more risks you introduce. So, if you keep sort of tacking on third-party suppliers and you introduce more supply chain risk. So I do think it's something that they need to be conscious of. I'm not saying that don't use any third parties, because then you chop down your risk. It's always a balancing act when it comes to risk and cyber and things like that. But I think we're continuously seeing a lot of supply chain attacks and third parties, and you'll see it in the news and the media, and I don't think that's necessarily going to go away. So it's more just being conscious about the risks that you're introducing, how many, and how you're mitigating that.
Get your risk assessments in place.
Yeah.
Right, fantastic. Thank you very much for speaking to me today, Juliette, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.